Hey guys, it's Hiranami. I want to make a video today that doesn't have a particular direction or anything. Essentially, I just want to say what's on my mind, talk, maybe start a new series. It seems like an easy thing to do. It's like, oh, a fresh new idea, I'll do this forever, right? No. Anyways, if I do end up making this a series, I'll probably call it just Hear Me Out, because it's just going to be whatever topic I had on my mind during this day, whatever I've thought about most throughout the day. And for me, especially today, that was that your story is worth telling. I'm talking about you, whoever's listening to this right now. You don't have to be watching or whatever. I know a lot of people just kind of put things on in the background and listen to them. I feel like my type of videos would be a good candidate for that type of content consumption, just because I tend to talk and not have a lot going on in the background. I know I tend to do Skywars commentaries and whatnot, but I felt like doing something different. So I read a book recently from my childhood. I found it at the library. It took a lot of searching to find this book, by the way, a lot of effort. It's called The Lost Track of Time by Paige Britt. It was one that I read in, I don't know, middle school. I really enjoyed it at the time, and I've spent years trying to remember what the book was called so I could find it and read it again. It's, about this kid. She wants to be a writer, but her entire schedule is just filled up because her mother plans her day hour to hour, minute to minute, stuff like that. Her schedule's always packed, and she doesn't really have any choice in the matter. And so she literally falls into a hole in her schedule because this story, this book, it's quirky like that. It's full of like wordplay and whatnot. Like you can fall into a hole in your schedule, you can tickle a fancy, stuff like that. It's kind of cool. It's a good book. I would recommend it to anybody who doesn't mind reading something of a lower grade school reading level. But anyways, the ultimate message of this book ends up being, and it's kind of spelled out at the end, time isn't valuable, you are. Just whoever you are. It's not time that makes you valuable, it's you. This, got me thinking just about myself, my own story, the stuff that I want to do, because I'm trying to write a book. I think it would be awesome to write a book. I've had a story in my head for years and years at this point that I've tried to have come to fruition, and I've never quite succeeded. Related to this, I signed up for some kind of like event, I don't know what you would call it, National Novel Writing Month. There's a website for it, wherein you can just like track how many words you write every day. I'm not very good at it, consistently doing things every day. I've never been good at that. The only thing I can get myself to do every single day is, like, eat. And even that's at a different time every day. It's never the same. I've always worried that my story wasn't worth telling. Basically, the entire time that I've had it. I felt anyone else could do it better. Someone with more experience than me, someone with more life experience than me, could do it better than I could. And so why would I write it? That kind of permeated in my head for a good long while. Why would I write this when it's not worth telling? It's just mine. I think it's pretty easy to get caught up in your own head, thinking that your own ideas aren't worth it, aren't worth sharing with the world, because, that's too simple. I thought of it too easily, something like that. Like, I don't feel like I put enough effort into coming up with this. A lot of things just end up not happening because of that, I guess, is a way to put it. Like, think of how many stories never would have been told if people thought, oh, well, this isn't unique enough, it's been done before. Ultimately, there's no such thing as original. Like, the definition of original is hotly debated in terms of what counts as, like, stolen content or whatever. Creating something of your own doesn't mean it's not like anything that's ever been made before, ever. Everything will have similarities with other things that exist, and that's just the way it is, whether or not it's intentional. I can't think of any examples right off the top of my head, but I guess a better example would be One Punch Man and Dragon Ball, where each of the main characters, they're just searching for worthy opponents that they could fight to challenge themselves and to improve, right? And even though each of these stories have similar premises, and I get that this is also still a bad example because One Punch Man is a bit of a parody They have a lot of similar concepts, a lot of similar characters, but you wouldn't call One Punch Man a Dragon Ball knockoff or anything like that. You would just say, like, those are two completely original pieces of media, even if they share some similarities. Can almost finish this portal. It's very close. Almost temptingly close. I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though you feel like what you want to do has been done before, it hasn't been done by you. You're someone else entirely to whatever you feel like you're comparing yourself to, which is a whole other topic. You really shouldn't be comparing yourself or anything you make to anything anybody else makes. That's just a recipe for having an unhappy life. But again, that's a topic for another discussion. One thing I've struggled with throughout my life is feeling that I am not unique, that anyone could replace me, anyone could be me. If I disappeared from the world, someone could find someone just like me, like anyone in my life could, and they wouldn't know the difference. There's a million people out there that are just like me, and that's just absolutely objectively wrong. Like, false. That's a falsehood, fallacy. It's incorrect. And that's the case for everyone. People who seem similar on the surface are always way different once you go a little deeper and get to know them more. You're not just a product of your birth and your genes, you're also a product of your environment, and you have a different environment to everyone else. No one else has lived the life that you lived, even if it was similar. It was around other people, in different places, did different things, and so your own experience is completely unique. So this sort of brings me back to my thesis statement here of, your story is worth being told. You as a person have intrinsic, inherent value, basically because you are alive. And this gets kind of into a little more personal philosophy here. I believe that life is the most valuable thing on Earth, and stories are the most important thing, if that makes any sense. I really don't think you can have one without the other. But because your life, your experiences are so utterly unique from anyone else's, you have your own story. And it's worth being told. Whether you want to create art, draw, write music, write a story, write a book, make a movie. Whatever your greatest creative endeavor is, nothing should stop you from making it. I don't know if any of this was coherent at all, if it tied together my thesis as well as I thought it did, my little topic sentence at the start. If my explanation makes any sense, but if it does, I mean, tell your story. It deserves to be told. I think that's all I've got for today. I'll talk to you next week if I have anything else that's rested on my mind so heavily that I just feel like I need to talk about it.